Krishnamurti recognizes that thought, rational, orderly, factual thought, such as in proper doing science, is necessary and valuable, but the kind of thought that he has in mind is self-centered thought. At first sight, one might wonder why self-centered thought is so bad. If the self were really there, then perhaps it would be correct to center it on the self, because the self would be so important. But if the self is a kind of illusion, at least the self as we know it, then to center our thought on something illusory, which is assumed to have supreme importance, is going to disrupt the whole process, and it will not only make thought about yourself wrong, it will make thought about everything wrong, so that thought becomes a dangerous and destructive instrument all around. Because this illusory self, which is really an image, is regarded as all important, whenever anything about it appears to be threatened, the brain develops a very powerful defense mechanism to try to prevent this from taking place. You can see this in an elementary way. If somebody says you're an idiot, the image of yourself as an idiot is painful, and there's an automatic response to accept assumptions proving you're not an idiot, somebody else is an idiot. But that's a minor point. The major point is that if somebody says something which threatens the reality of this whole structure itself, then it's as if your life were at stake. The brain, all stops are pulled out, and the brain responds, with the instinct of self-preservation to absolutely prevent you from considering it. It may just dull the mind or transfer attention somewhere else, or make you forget about it, or make you find yourself thinking of something else, any number of defenses. And you see, it's clear that when somebody like Krishnamurti comes along and says that this is an illusion, or this isn't real, that this defense mechanism is going to be provoked into action. The major form of defense is simply concealment of what's going on, because if we could see what's going on, it would be obvious it's an illusion. It's like seeing through the trick of the magician. So also all the ways I've described, such as forgetting and zapping your mind or jumping to something else, are modes of concealment. You may also conceal by just denying that it's so and asserting something else. And therefore, we're not conscious, certainly, of the defense mechanism, because this process of concealment itself has to be concealed in order to make it effective. And therefore, the defense, the major part of the defense, consists in making the whole process unconscious. Krishnamurti talked a great deal about conditioning, and he admitted that certain kinds of conditioning were necessary, such as learning to do things. But there's a kind of conditioning around the self which is extremely strong, because it contains assumptions of absolute necessities. Therefore, it takes first priority, and it pushes everything aside, including even the requirement that thoughts should be correct and true. And therefore, it immediately starts self-deception going, and that is why thought becomes dangerous, because if thought deceives itself, it is really very dangerous. Well, I think the ultimate purpose of K's work was stated very early in his life, in his work, which was to free humanity from the destructive conditioning we've been talking about. That is, this conditioning around the self-centered thought is really an enslavement to absurdity, to destruction, to unhappiness, sorrow. And no other kind of freedom means anything unless we are free from that.